I'm Lauren Mitchell, and on Christmas night, my family decided I no longer existed. The roast was still steaming, the silverware perfectly aligned, and my mother's crystal angels glimmered under the dining room lights when my father looked at me and said, "Is there something you'd like to explain?" "Lauren?" I had spent the whole drive rehearsing the words, the smile, the calm tone that would make everything okay. But when his eyes dropped to the small curve under my sweater, I knew no sentence on earth could save me. "Tell me that's not what I think it is," he said, voice tightening like a wire. My mother's fork clinked against her plate, the sound sharp enough to cut. "You come into this house during Christmas dinner and flaunt your mistakes?" I tried to speak, to remind them that I'd just been awarded a National Architecture Prize, that I had a steady job, that I wasn't some reckless teenager. But my father's hand hit the table, rattling the glasses. "Don't embarrass yourself further. We raised you better than this." 21. I looked at my sister Julia, hoping for an ally. She lowered her gaze, her wedding ring glinting in the light. My mother whispered, "You've ruined our family's reputation, Lauren. People will talk." I almost laughed. People were all she ever cared about. "You haven't even asked who the father is," I said quietly. My father's jaw tightened. "Does it matter? No decent man would have anything to do with this." "Ain't do." I reached for the envelope in my bag, the one with the embossed gold lettering that read, "Engagement Announcement." Inside was the note Adam had written in his careful handwriting. "To the Mitchells, thank you for trusting me with your daughter. She's the best part of my life." My hand trembled as I placed it on the table. "At least read this before you decide who I am." I wanted, but my father didn't even glance down. "Get that out of my sight," he barked. And before I could stop him, he tore the envelope in half. Paper fluttered across the table like snow. My mother stood, pointing toward the door. "You can leave the same way you came. We don't house shame under our roof." For a moment, I just stared at them, two people I'd spent my whole life trying to please. Now strangers dressed as family. The silence pressed against my chest, thick and final. I grabbed my coat, the air heavy with perfume and disappointment. As I stepped into the cold, my father called after me, "Don't bother coming back, Arna." The snow was falling harder now, white over the driveway, the lights from the house flickering behind me. I had a lawfully earned degree, a stable career, a child on the way. And somehow, none of it mattered. They hadn't read the note. They hadn't even asked who the father was. If they had, the night might have ended differently. But the truth would wait quiet and patient just like me. The road out of Indiana stretched like a frozen scar under the streetlights. The kind of empty that makes you hear your own heartbeat. I kept both hands tight on the steering wheel, watching snow slide across the windshield in nervous streaks. My phone buzzed in the cup holder, and when I saw Adam's name, my throat closed. "Hey," I managed, my voice shaking. "It's late," he said. "Are you still at your parents' place?" I almost laughed. Was past tense. Too. He was quiet for a beat. Then his tone sharpened. "Lauren, what happened?" I pressed my palm to my stomach and tried to breathe. "They saw. They didn't ask a single thing. Just told me to get out. I'm in my car now, somewhere between humiliation and the state line." He exhaled hard. "You shouldn't be driving. Pull over." "I'm coming to get you." I shook my head even though he couldn't see. "It's a 12-hour drive. You have work tomorrow. I'll find a motel." "No," he said flatly. "You won't." 21. The wipers squealed across glass. "Adam, I can handle one night," I insisted. "You don't have to fix this. You're carrying my child." he said quietly. That makes this my problem too. I let silence hang between us. The kind that holds both gratitude and fear. What did you tell them? He asked finally. Nothing, I said. They tore up the note before reading it. My father thinks I'm some scandal he has to clean off the family name. Dokheim. I could hear him pacing through the phone. Footsteps echoing in his apartment. I'm calling my dad, he said. Adam. Don't. I'm not dragging your family into this mess. He didn't even pause. Too late. He'll want to know. And he'll do what's right. What's right? I asked bitterly. Taking in a woman who just got exiled from her own home? Taking care of the woman I love. He corrected. You think my parents won't open their doors when they know what yours did? I wanted to argue, but exhaustion beat me to it. The gas light blinked. A soft orange reminder that even cars have limits. I'll text you when I find somewhere to stay, I said finally. You won't need to, he replied. My father's driver is already on his way. Where are you? The words caught me off guard. Adam. No, where are you? Lauren, he repeated, leaving no space for refusal. I pulled into the dim parking lot of a closed diner. The neon sign flickering weakly against the snow. Maple and Route 9. I whispered. Okay, he said. Voice gentler now. Stay in the car. Keep the heater on. James will find you. I wanted to protest, but all I could do was nod to the empty air. As the line went dead, I leaned back and closed my eyes. The world outside was dark and unwelcoming. But for the first time that night, I didn't feel completely alone. The driver arrived just as the diner's neon light blinked its last pulse of blue. I rolled down the window, and an older man in a dark coat gave me a polite nod. Miss Mitchell? He asked. I managed a faint yes before he opened the car door like I was someone worth respecting. The warmth of the town car hit me like a mercy I didn't know I needed. Mr. Reed sent me, he said, taking my suitcase with quiet efficiency. We'll be in Chicago before sunrise. Tacted. The road blurred into a silver ribbon. I tried to speak, but the exhaustion swallowed my voice. When the gates appeared tall, wrought iron, and shining in the snow, it felt like driving into another world. Richard Reed was waiting at the door. No coat. Sleeves rolled up, like he'd been pacing. Lauren, he said. My name landing heavier than I expected. I stammered an apology, but he cut through it with a calm authority. You have nothing to be sorry for. Come inside. The foyer glowed with amber light and the scent of cedar. A woman descended the stairs. Her presence so composed it made me straighten without thinking. You must be Lauren, she said. And when she smiled, it reached her eyes. I'm Celeste. Her tone carried no pity, only warmth. She took my hands as if greeting an old friend. You look frozen. Sweetheart, let's get you something to eat. I wanted to protest, to explain that I didn't belong here. But Celeste was already guiding me toward the kitchen. I can't believe I'm intruding like this, I whispered. Intruding? She repeated softly, setting a bowl of soup in front of me. Family doesn't intrude. We make room. I blinked, unsure how to respond. I'm not family. I said. Not yet, she replied, stirring her tea. But you're carrying a future that is tenor. When Richard joined us, the conversation shifted like a tide. He studied me for a long moment before asking, Your father is Charles Mitchell, isn't he? I hesitated, nodding slowly. He's been with your company for years, I said carefully. Richard's jaw tightened, but his voice stayed level. He has. And he's a competent man. When pride doesn't get in the way. I bit my lip. He thinks I've embarrassed him. No, Richard said. He embarrassed himself. Celeste placed a gentle hand on his arm. Don't make her relive it tonight, she said softly. There's time for all of that. But Richard shook his head. She deserves to hear this. He looked at me again. Adam told me everything, how you protected him from your father's politics. How you never once used our name. You did the right thing. Lauren. Even when it cost you everything. The words hit harder than I expected. You knew? I asked quietly. Of course, Richard said. You can't hide love that deep. Not for 6 years. I let Adam make his choices. And you, he paused. Studying me, you've proven who you are without needing anyone's permission. Ane. I stared at the steam rising from my bowl. The ache in my chest shifting into something unfamiliar. I just wanted them to see me. I murmured. Celeste smiled. They will. Someday, but not the way they expect. Richard leaned back. His tone firm again. You don't owe them recognition. Lauren, what you owe yourself is peace. You've earned that. Never. When they showed me to the guest room, the hallway glowed soft and golden. The bed was turned down. Fresh linen crisp under my fingertips. I sat on the edge and listened to the wind outside the windows. For the first time in months, I didn't feel like I was running. This house, with its quiet voices and open doors, felt like something dangerous and precious all at once, like home. Spring came early that year, soft and bright, as if the world had decided I'd suffered enough cold. The Reed house buzzed with quiet celebration. Papers and sketches of the new sustainable housing project scattered across the dining table. Celeste had insisted I lead the design team, saying, if we're going to change how cities breathe, it should start with someone who understands foundations. Adam laughed as he helped me roll blueprints into neat tubes. You realize my mother just made a metaphor out of you, he said. And I smiled. I'm used to it. She's better at seeing the architecture of people than I am. Teldon. We'd moved into an apartment overlooking Lake Michigan. Minimalist and sunlit. At night, Adam would rest his hand over my growing belly and whisper about the life we were building. I still can't believe they threw you out, he said once. Sometimes neither can I admitted. But if they hadn't, I might never have found this. I meant the calm, the strange, healing kind that made me believe in do-overs. He kissed my forehead. Then let's not waste it. Oh. The peace held for almost 2 months. Then one Friday afternoon, my phone lit up with a familiar name. Julia. I hesitated before answering. Lauren. Don't hang up, she said. Her voice tense. There's something you should know. I sat back in my office chair. What now? Mom and Dad saw the Chicago Tribune article, she said quickly. The one about the Reed Foundation's new architectural project, your photos on the front page. I froze. And? Julia exhaled. They're furious. Everyone at Dad's company knows. They found out about you and Adam. I was. The irony burned. So they care now? I asked. They're worried about how it looks. Not about me. It's not that simple, Julia said. Dad's under pressure. Richard Reed's board knows he's your father. People are talking. I laughed quietly. The sound bitter. They should. He's the one who made this mess. She lowered her voice. He's panicking. Lauren. Mom's been calling around, saying you manipulated your way into the Reed's family. My chest tightened. Anger curling up like smoke. Of course she did. God forbid her daughter's success not come with a scandal. Do way. Julia tried to bridge the silence. I don't agree with them. I just thought you should hear it from me. Thanks, I said softly. You did the right thing. For a moment, I thought she might cry. They miss you. Even if they can't admit it. I stared out the window, where the city shimmered like glass and water. Missing someone means more than wishing they'd come back, I said. It means changing what drove them away. They're not ready for that. When the call ended, I sat there for a long time, tracing the edge of the newspaper article. The headline read, Architect Lauren Mitchell leads Chicago's next green revolution. It should have felt like victory. Instead, it felt like silence before thunder, somewhere between love and legacy. A storm was gathering. And this time, I knew it was coming for all of us. The storm broke on a Thursday night. Calm on the surface, sharp underneath. Richard had arranged the dinner with the precision of a man who'd negotiated billion-dollar deals. The table was set for 6. Crystal glasses shining under the chandelier. I'd chosen to wear a simple black dress. Nothing extravagant, but unmistakably deliberate. Adam squeezed my hand before the front door opened. You don't have to say anything, he murmured. I do, I said. This is mine to finish. Doc. When Charles and Patricia stepped into the foyer, their eyes darted across the room like guests walking into a courtroom instead of a home. Mr. and Mrs. Reed, my father said. Too loudly. His practiced smile almost convincing. Thank you for having us. Richard's handshake was firm, unflinching. You're welcome. Charles, let's sit. We have much to clear up. Patricia avoided my gaze, clutching her purse like a lifeline. I caught a trace of her perfume familiar. Suffocating. Dinner began with silence masquerading as civility. Celeste tried to soften the edges, asking about the drive, the weather, anything but the real reason we were there. My father cut her off. Let's not pretend we're here for small talk, he said. We came to make things right. His tone carried the weight of entitlement, not remorse. I leaned forward. You didn't come to make things right. You came because people found out you were wrong. My mother's fork paused mid-air. Watch your tone. Lauren. Why? I said, smiling faintly. You already threw me out once. There's not much left to lose. My father's face darkened. I said things I regret. But you embarrassed us. The way the press talks. You'd think we were some... Richard interrupted. Calm but cutting. Somewhat. Charles? Small-town family who couldn't control their daughter? Or a father who abandoned her when she needed him most? My father stiffened. You don't know what it's like to have your family name dragged through the mud. Richard's voice dropped lower. Oh, I know exactly what it's like. The difference is, I'd burn my reputation before I'd let it bury my child. Weeks. Patricia tried to pivot, her voice brittle. We only wanted what was best for her. We didn't know about Adam. If we had, Celeste set down her wine glass with a soft clink. If you had. What? Would that have made your cruelty acceptable? Would her pregnancy have been less shameful if the father's family had money? Patricia flushed. You're twisting my words. No, Celeste said. You're just hearing them out loud for the first time. I took a breath, steadying my hands. Do you know what it felt like to stand in your driveway? Pregnant. With nowhere to go? My mother's eyes flickered, but she said nothing. I wasn't a mistake. I wasn't broken. You were just too afraid of gossip to see me as your daughter. You don't understand, she whispered. We were scared. So was I said quietly. But I didn't use it as an excuse to stop being your child. Dine. My father leaned back, trying to regain control. This is all very emotional. But at the end of the day, We're still family. Let's not ruin that. Richard's expression hardened. Family isn't a title you can reclaim when it's convenient. You had your chance at that table months ago. Charles turned to him, voice trembling with contained anger. You're threatening my job. No, Richard said. I'm reminding you that integrity doesn't stop at the office door. The air turned heavy, charged like static before lightning. Patricia's voice cracked. Please, Richard. Can't we move past this? For the baby's sake? Adam spoke for the first time. Calm but resolute. Our child will grow up knowing what love looks like. That's already more than you gave, Lauren. My mother covered her mouth, eyes glistening. We made a mistake. No, I said. You made a choice. Don't confuse the two. Is it profit? For a long moment, no one moved. Then Celeste rose, her tone final. Dinner is over. The words weren't loud, but they ended the night. Richard nodded toward the doorway. James will take you home. My father stood slowly. Color drained from his face. Lauren, this doesn't have to be the end. I met his gaze without flinching. It already was. You just didn't notice. Today. They left without another word, their footsteps echoing through the marble hall. When the door closed, the silence didn't feel empty, it felt earned. I sat back, pulse steady, breath even. Adam reached for my hand again. But this time I didn't need him to steady me. For the first time since that winter night, I felt taller than the ghosts I'd left behind. The reckoning was done, and the storm had finally spent itself. A year later, the city skyline glowed beneath me, all glass and steel. The building I'd designed standing firm against the wind. Adam stood beside me on the rooftop, his coat brushing mine as he said, You built this. Lauren, every inch of it. I smiled, watching the lake shimmer below. Funny, I said. It's the first foundation I ever trusted. He brushed a strand of hair from my face. Maybe because this time, you poured it for yourself. When my phone buzzed, I almost ignored it. Julia's name appeared, followed by a message that simply read, They moved out of Indiana. They're starting over. I typed back, Good. So am I. A second message arrived. They asked if the baby's healthy. I stared at the screen for a long moment before replying. She is. And so am I. Celeste had been right the night she tucked me in that first evening. Peace isn't silence. It's space to breathe. I finally understood. Adam wrapped his arm around me, warm and steady, the wind carrying his voice when he whispered, You ready to go home? I looked out at the city, my city now, and nodded. I already am. 2. As we walked toward the stairwell, I caught one last glimpse of the horizon. The skyline wasn't just architecture. It was memory, forgiveness, survival. My parents had taught me what love should never be. The Reeds had shown me what it could become. And between those two truths, I built something unshakable myself. The city lights blurred behind me as I turned to the camera, the night humming like a quiet promise. If you've ever had to rebuild yourself from the ground up, I said, you know how heavy hope can be, but how worth it. My voice softened. Subscribe. Stay. And keep building with me. 18.